Today, on Guess What I Found Out, we are visiting an island where puffins outnumber people roughly 25,000 to 1, where the ferry stops running for weeks at a time and where the entire human population could fit in a single minivan, with seats to spare. In 1925, 179 people lived here. Today, depending on which official count you squint at, it is somewhere around 10. 10 people on a volcanic rock in the middle of the North Atlantic. When the winter storms roll in, and they roll in like clockwork, no boat comes, no helicopter flies, and those 10 people are completely, magnificently alone. This is Mykines, the westernmost island of the Faroe Islands, and from here on out we are calling it Puffin Alcatraz, because it is gorgeous, nearly impossible to leave in winter, and absolutely crawling with birds. So where exactly is Puffin Alcatraz? Picture the North Atlantic between Norway, Iceland and Scotland. Now find the spot that is closer to nothing than to anything. That is the Faroe Islands. 18 volcanic islands where the Gulf Stream slams into Arctic air and produces weather that meteorologists politely call dynamic and everyone else calls a personal attack. Mykines is the one furthest west, the last rock before open ocean. 10 square kilometers of 60-million-year-old basalt, the oldest stone in the entire archipelago, with cliffs that drop straight into the sea and a single village of 40 colourful turf-roofed houses huddled in the one slightly sheltered spot. Getting there is half the comedy. In summer, a ferry from the village of Sorvagur makes the crossing in about 45 minutes, weather permitting, which is a phrase doing Olympic levels of heavy lifting. Outside the summer season, your option is a government-subsidised helicopter. And when the real winter storms arrive, even the helicopter says no thank you. The residents of Puffin Alcatraz do not stock a week of food. They stock weeks of food, plural, because the next delivery date is officially listed as eventually. But here is where the story gets strange, because this island was not always dying. A century ago, Puffin Alcatraz was thriving, and the way it went from boomtown to ghost town is a slow-motion mystery with no villain and no single moment where anything actually went wrong. If you are enjoying this so far, hit that follow button, because this channel digs up stories like this every single week, and you do not want to miss the next one. Humans have been scratching out a living here for an absurdly long time. Pollen evidence shows oats and barley growing on Mykines around the year 625, likely planted by Irish monks who apparently looked at a storm-hammered cliff in the middle of the ocean and said, "Perfect, very peaceful." The Norse showed up later and built a community on sheep, fishing and harvesting seabirds, which sounds harsh until you remember there was no grocery store and winter did not care about your feelings. There were even coal seams running through the cliffs, and yes, men climbed into the rock face of a North Atlantic island to mine fuel by hand. That is the energy this place ran on, literally. By 1925, the island hit its peak. 179 residents, a school packed with kids, and I am not making this up, the first swimming pool in the entire Faroe Islands, built by a determined schoolteacher next to the village waterfall. In 1928, the island even got a telephone connection to the outside world. Puffin Alcatraz was, by remote island standards, absolutely killing it. It also knew how to suffer. Around 1595, a sudden April storm wrecked roughly 50 boats across the Faroes, and Mykines lost essentially every working-age man it had, an estimated 20 to 30 men, in one afternoon. And in September 1970, a Fokker F-27 flying from Bergen crashed into the island in bad weather. 8 people died, 26 survived, and 3 of the survivors had to hike for an hour just to reach the village and tell someone the plane was down. Beauty and brutality, sold here as a package deal. So, what killed the community? Nothing. And, well, that is the unsettling part. No disaster, no decree, just modern life quietly raising the price of staying. No harbour for modern fishing boats, no school past the primary years, so every teenager had to leave for an education, and almost none came back. No jobs that could compete with the booming fishing towns on the bigger islands. One family at a time did the math, packed up and left. 179 became 150 by 1953. Then dozens. By 2004, it was 11 people in 6 houses, with 34 houses sitting dark for 10 months a year. Today, the official count bounces between 9 and 13, depending on the season and who is filing the paperwork. And I genuinely want to know, could you do it? Could you live on Puffin Alcatraz year-round? Drop your answer in the comments, because I will be reading them from somewhere with the grocery store. Here is the twist that keeps the lights on. Summer. From May through August, this near ghost town becomes one of the most visited places in the Faroe Islands. Day trippers pour off the ferry to see the real owners of the island. Roughly 125,000 breeding pairs of Atlantic puffins, one of the largest colonies anywhere, nesting in burrows so close to the trail you can photograph them from about a metre away. Add tens of thousands of fulmars, storm petrels and kittiwakes, plus the only gannet colony in the entire Faroes. And you get an island so ecologically loaded it was designated a Ramsar wetland of international importance in 2012. The locals now cap visitors at around 200 per day and charge a mandatory guided hiking fee that funds the village. Tourism is the paycheck, the silence is the cost. And those puffins? When the tourists leave in August, the puffins leave too. And they spend the entire winter floating alone on the open ocean, far from land, just vibing on the waves in the dark. If that kind of ridiculous survival impresses you, wait until you meet the chubby apocalypse bears, because the tardigrade episode of Guess What I Found Out will absolutely break your brain. Go check out that episode after this one. Strip away the puffins and the postcards, though, and what remains is a handful of people, most of them older, carrying knowledge that exists nowhere on paper. How to read the weather coming off the western horizon. Which paths turn dangerous after certain rains. How to keep a village alive when the nearest hardware store is a helicopter ride away. When they go, that knowledge goes with them. And the future is brutally simple. Whether anyone lives on Mykines a generation from now depends on a few personal decisions, made one kitchen table at a time by people weighing 1,000 years of history against a job posting in Torshavn. The island itself will be fine. The basalt was here 60 million years before us and will outlast every one of us by a margin we cannot even picture. The only real question is whether those few lit windows stay lit, or whether Puffin Alcatraz becomes one more North Atlantic island that used to have people and now only has stories. So tell me in the comments, would you stay or would you go, and walk me through your reasoning, because the answers are never as obvious as they sound. And while you're down there, smash that like button and subscribe, because next time I am dragging you somewhere even stranger. See you there, Curious George.